Hello and welcome to another edition of Grapes and Greens. This is season 3 and episode 5. A very different place from our last podcast when we were invited to the Chief Executive's office of the RNA. This time we're at a golf festival on the banks of the Thames overlooking Canary Wharf in the back of Dryvebox. And I'm very pleased to have the two founders of Dryvebox UK here, Rob Drag and Stephen White.
Hi.
Nice to see you guys.
Nice to see you, Neil.
Yeah, thank you very much for the
Nice to
invite. We're actually, this is the first time, obviously, we've been in the simulator, and definitely the first time we've been in the simulator on the back of a truck.
Amazing.
So it's very cool.
Very
And
cool.
what I love about it, from a Grapes and Greens perspective, is that today and for the weekend here at
Golf Clubber.
Golf Clubber, always get that wrong, Golf Clubber, where they're going to have something like 3,000 people over the weekend. It's great. Wine-Fi have sponsored Dryvebox.
They have, yeah. We've got a
This is
fully wrapped
fantastic, yeah.
Wine-fi Dryvebox.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So just shows you again that wine and golf is really coming together.
Absolutely, yeah.
Talking of wine, we always start with a gospel. Today we've got a 2015
Wow.
Treating
Brut
us,
Reserve, which is great. Yeah. So the Brut Reserve Classic Champagne method. So we've got 3 grapes in here. We've got the Pinot Noir, the Chardonnay, and the Pinot Meunier. So have a taste and see what you think.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Cheers.
I always say
Cheers.
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 9:30 on a Saturday morning, but
Yeah,
here you go.
absolutely.
Same
It's a
festivals,
good
isn't it?
time, yeah. Wow.
Really smooth, consistent, just a very well-made wine. I know you guys are into wine investment as well, so
A little bit.
I think I was saying to you just before we came on air that literally they don't quite know where the peaks are, so probably a little bit early to get into investment, but I think the English wine and certainly a gospel will be on the radar for people to invest in.
Yeah, I mean, that's lovely, isn't it? Super
Yeah.
long finish.
Yeah, it's really
Delicious.
Especially at 9:30.
Stephen, let's start with you. Wine story from you. I know you said that from a young age you've always sort of put a few quid into looking at wine and whatever. What do you fancy? What's the wine story that you've got?
Yeah, I mean, difficult. It's probably not a sort of singular wine story, but as you said, I've been sort of collecting wine for a little while now. And it all started randomly in the sense that I started work at Barclays on the graduate scheme. One of the other sort of fellow guys there, Ollie, was into wine, had sort of worked in wine previously, and we used to have a sort of small group of us and we'd do sort of dinners, and effectively it would be sort of like blind tasting of wines. Everyone brings a bottle of wine and it was a kind of a good excuse to get together and have a few drinks and some food. And so we used to do blind tasting, and invariably me and the others would kind of sort of leave it to the last minute and kind of get there and have to throw money at the problem, sort of 40, 50 pounds on a bottle. Invariably we'd have our wine and we'd just be blown out of the water by one that Ollie had bought. And it was through talking to him, and actually, it was wine that he'd bought, 10 years ago. He was really into his wines. He kind of sort of knew the up and coming producers, and he kind of knew what to look for. And, I guess, really taught the value of actually, knowing what you're doing, choosing something wisely, and then patience and just letting it sit. So yeah, I think it was quite an early on, good lesson for me that, get that knowledge and just wait.
Yeah. And now you invested with Wine-Fi as well. Yeah?
Yes, indeed, yeah. So actually, I'm sure we'll sort of get onto it a bit later in terms of Rob and I and our backgrounds.
Yeah.
But yes, we've sort of done a bit of angel investing, and Wine-Fi was one that we also put some money into.
And Rob, like a drop yourself?
Yeah, I think that leads into my story. Steve and I, before we started Dryvebox, we were scratching the entrepreneurial itch and sort of speaking to a number of businesses, writing very small checks every now and again, probably with the hope of being involved in businesses from a sort of advisory perspective and using our backgrounds, our corporate backgrounds to help. So I managed to, with my wife, I managed to get together a sort of small amount to invest in a few businesses, and being the consummate professionals we are, we thought, we'll do this right, a nice balanced portfolio. And actually, our first 2 out of our first 3 investments were in wine. So one being Wineify, who are here today with us, which is great, and the other being Lelo, which I think you've heard of now. They're trying to take boxed wine and make it super sexy. Some beautiful designs on the outside and some really good wines.
Really interesting. I looked at that when we put the post out a couple of months ago, and she just went, "Oh, Rob and Stephen, dream team." And then I looked at
That's far too kind.
I looked at her website. I was like, "That's really interesting." But, so, guys, both of your backgrounds were from investment. You weren't in the golf business, and now you've invested in golf. But also, it seems that a lot of investment is coming into golf. What's made the difference?
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting, isn't it? I think, I used to play a bit of golf when I was younger, and I think if you asked kids back then, what they thought of golf, it was never cool. And I think it's just been a massive shift. And, obviously, I think COVID and the pandemic had a sort of degree of, help with that in terms of actually being an activity that people could do. But I think there's a huge amount of drivers as well, and I think you can almost split it into kind of sort of drivers that are pushing new entrants to the sport, and then also some of the drivers that are kind of really helping things like sim golf kind of with existing golfers. And I think if you take new golfers, again going back to that point that I think golf now is kind of seen as cool, I think you've got a lot of social media now, a lot of content on YouTube, a lot of social media content creators, and you're seeing a lot of athletes as well playing it, and I think that's just really sort of opened up to kind of sort of kids, to women, to a lot of people that hadn't played golf before, and sort of thinking actually I kind of want to give it a go.
It's really exciting though for me to see it, having played golf for 50 years now, to be able to see as I grew up and had my heroes as Sevi and Faldo, and now seeing guys who are influences as well, but also we were chatting with the RNA and how they've changed, and how they're embracing it as well. And I think you have to, because it's commercial, right? Money's money. And if you can get more money coming into a sport and more people playing the book, from a governance perspective, that's what they're looking for. So it's adapting as well. And I think what you're doing here with Dryvebox is just perfect for that whole generational change from that very demographic which could have said, oh, it's boring, it's for old men, it's for old people, wherever. Now we're sat at a festival in Canary Wharf in the middle of London, waiting for 1,500 people to come in with the masters in the background, and just the new clothing, new lines. How exciting is that? I mean, it must be like, from a golfer yourself.
Absolutely, similar story to Stephen. Where as a kid playing golf in the late 80s, early 90s, you'd cobble a set of clubs together and you'd pinch a club off your dad or something like that and put it in your bag until they noticed. Even back then, you would try and sort of apparel and golf would go together, but in a very sort of non-cool way if you showed your mates. So I recall in the early 90s that Chris Faldo was my hero back in the day, and I recall getting for Christmas getting the Pringle boxed jumpers and putting those on, and with the polos underneath. And I think we were talking beforehand, and we just met a guy here with a stall who's
100%.
Got vintage golf apparel. I think if I go to my local golf club now and I look around, individuals are investing in golf. So it's not, it's a set of golf clubs, which can be expensive, but at entry level, it is available to everyone, hopefully. But there's a fancy trolley, there's a fancy bag, and then all the clothing that goes with it. And actually that clothing is turning around quite quickly as well, and people are investing as they go along. So the spend per head in golf annually is just increasing, and then you bring simulator golf into it, so off-course golf, and we've all seen the stats recently on off-course golf almost overtaking on-course golf in terms of number of shots hit, number of rounds, that can only be good for certainly a business like ours, and the reason we've come into it. I think another reason we came into it is it is that we're both passionate about golf and sport, and actually having had 25-year corporate careers in finance, doing something you're passionate about. Not that we weren't passionate about our careers previously, and growing businesses and being successful and bringing people along. Actually day to day getting into a Dryvebox doesn't feel like work, and we have to stop ourselves hitting balls all the time, don't we? And actually doing some work. But it's fun. It's fun.
Perfect. And when we first met back in January, we kind of, you said that you looked at a number of other investments because so many things that you can invest with. What really made you go Dryvebox instead of maybe a soup or something else that maybe you were looking for, or wine, as we said before? Why Dryvebox?
Yeah, I mean, look, we looked at a number of different things in terms of what we could do, and I think for a while we probably thought it would end up going down a sort of like a boring industry route of picking something a bit unsexy and a bit unloved and trying to do something there not really sort of groundbreaking. And I think luckily enough we sort of came across the concept of Dryvebox, or rather sort of golf pro Pedro.
Absolutely, yeah. So Pedro, Fox Hills head pro. Yep. So I'd been having lessons at Fox Hills 3 or 4 years ago. Obviously, Steve and I had been looking at things we might do next. And it was mainly the winters really, where I'd be on the range with Pedro. I'd go for my hour lesson. It's freezing cold. I'd take on his advice and smash balls, and then an hour later I'm in the clubhouse having a bacon roll and a coffee in the warm. But Pedro's life was has been 8-9 hours a day conveyor belt of people like me coming through, and we certainly talked. It is hard. We certainly talked about for Pedro it was well, what next, and actually Pedro sort of did the research and found Dryvebox.
Tell us a little bit more about Dryvebox. It's obviously from the US.
Yeah.
As most things, when it's popular in the US, it comes over to Europe. So what was the whole process? You went to the US, I guess? Yeah,
so Pedro put us onto Dryvebox. I think Pedro had approached them and they said, look, we're too busy in the US at the moment growing the business. We're at 40, 50 boxes and growing quite quickly. We're not in the market of doing one box in the UK anytime soon. So Stephen and I sort of spoke about it and put pen to paper and said, look, we feel we could do something bigger here.
Yeah, and we flew out pretty quickly. Again, I think about sort of 3 weeks, 4 weeks of kind of having that initial discussion. We went out to San Francisco, met the guys. Obviously, as Rob said, Dryvebox out in the US, they've got over 50 boxes now, growing rapidly.
When did they start?
San Francisco.
No, when?
Oh, when? 2020.
Okay.
During
so right
COVID.
in the middle of pandemic.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So 6 years now, really. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So effectively, the story. So Adil Yang, the original founder of Dryvebox, had sold a couple of businesses and took up golf. Was really enjoying it, loving playing, and then COVID happened, and obviously everyone was kind of sort of banished indoors. And he thought, well, maybe I can build a simulator in my house. A combination of things led to that not happening. But I think being ever the entrepreneur, sort of saw a trailer and thought, well, maybe I can build one in there and take it to my friends' houses as well and play a bit of golf would be cool.
Yeah, brilliant.
Now out of that grew a business, and it's all across the US, and we became their first international foray.
Yeah.
I think what was key to us though is we flew over there probably early 2024.
Yeah.
And it probably took us 6 to 9 months to negotiate a deal with them because we were, having worked in businesses previously and grown businesses and sold businesses, we knew we needed to be in control of our own destiny.
Yeah.
So actually persuading those guys to give up certainly the UK and potentially Europe rights to a couple of guys they'd never met.
Yeah, and it was very important for us that it wasn't, we're not a franchisee.
Yeah.
Dryvebox UK.
I think that's important to highlight, isn't it? That you are the owners.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have we bought the exclusive rights in perpetuity for Dryvebox.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we've obviously
in the UK.
And Dryvebox US have got a small percentage stake in the business. We thought that was good to have that alignment.
Yeah.
And also, look, they've got a huge amount of experience. They're great guys. So, they got.
No, very good. And last year, you had one, and for me, it seemed like it was kind of a trial year, like just go and sort out all the problems. Is that how it worked?
Felt like it.
Pretty much, yeah. So
like any good business, it's proof of concept, right? You have to go actually go through the pain and work out. You don't want to have the pain for 50. You want the pain for one, and then just fix everything.
That's right. Yeah. And they're not cheap things to build and kit out, as you can see.
Yeah, they're great. I mean, they're lovely.
Yeah, and I also think when we first saw it in San Francisco, even there it looked big, and so we walked up to it from the outside and thought, God, imagine this on UK roads. Yeah. And there's a towing culture in the US, where sort of from a young age you're just towing trailers around, with F-150s and F-250s, and you'll tow anything. But we spoke to one of the guys out there and said, so where do you park it overnight? And he said, just outside my house on the street. So we met them there after breakfast the next morning, and it didn't look out of place on a San Francisco street. But you can imagine, and we were thinking in the UK that the street WhatsApp group would be going mad because the road is blocked. Yeah. But yeah, the size of the units and the weight was a key thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the magic number in the UK is that sort of 3.5 tons. Yeah. So the US boxes are 5 tons. So Rob said, that's great. That's fine out there. You can tow it, you can move it around. In the UK, anything over 3.5 ton, special vehicles, special licensing, it's just a lot of rigmarole. Yeah. So we needed to sort of find a manufacturer who could build something, get it to those specs that were similar to the Dryvebox in the US, but was obviously that crucial difference. And it's a lot to shave off, 1.5 tons to kind of sort of take there. And I think what we had last year was that real kind of iterative process around finding a manufacturer. We've now got a new manufacturer that makes these, and finally we're sort of happy with what we've got.
Is this the new one that we're sitting in?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
This is really cool.
Thank you.
Cool, thanks.
I mean, it feels like you're coming into a mini pitch.
Yeah.
Would that be out of place to say?
Yeah, I mean, I think you would only take umbrage with the word mini, but absolutely, you're right in terms of the pitch, and that's certainly the feeling we wanted. Was that premium feel? Because I think when you say mobile golf simulator, I think people can have different things in their head. It's a bit gimmicky, it's a bit plasticky or inflatable.
Definitely not that.
No.
No, I mean, you're padding on the wall.
Yeah.
It feels like an actual studio. That's what I was saying. Like
Absolutely.
One pitch, but on the road.
Yeah.
We worked with Gaucho last year at Twickenham for the Autumn Internationals, and I think one of the best pieces of feedback we had from Gaucho was they saw the box for the first time in situ, and they came in and said, I thought it was going to be big, but it's bigger than I thought, certainly internally, because we're 4.2 meters wide, and most fixed sims are less than that. And the other great thing they said was, which we sort of is a trap line we use, is it feels like a super yacht inside. And that's that's the feel we're going for.
Definitely on that deck side, because you've got that sort of deck there as well.
Absolutely.
You could just see the sea being out there and bobbing along in Monte Carlo. Monaco would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that would
be pretty cool. There you go, there's an idea.
I like it. Yeah, that's true. Right, we're looking at that. We're writing that down. Yeah.
No, it's great. And from that, I know, actually personally, last week I played with the brand director of Genesis, and you were at the Scottish Open. The Genesis Scottish Open, I should say that. And he knew you guys straight away and loved it. And I don't know if you're going back this year, but I think you probably will be. By his, what I want to say, he was just euphoric about it. He said, like, it was really cool. We got a lot of people through. People loved it. The feedback was great. I think they might have wrapped it as well. So obviously they got some branding from it as well. So that's great. And that's not where you met Kate and Justin Rose for the foundation, was it?
No.
I'm just wondering, how you've now got this amazing opportunity to work with Justin Rose, and we're sitting here looking forward to the third round of the Masters, and Justin is up there hoping. I mean, obviously Rory's a long way ahead. We don't know what's going to happen. When this goes out, we will know what's happened. But you're dealing with a superstar within a year of getting up and running, which is amazing. How did that come about, and what are you doing with Kate and Justin?
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, it's phenomenal to be working with the Kate and Justin Rose Foundation. Look, it came about, I think, when we started this business, I think obviously from a commercial perspective, we wanted to, do something that would work. But I think we also had that sort of passion about, golf and accessibility. Golf, we love it, but it does have a problem in terms of accessibility. And so we always had a kind of dream or a plan of how we could sort of change that. And I think we thought schools would be a great sort of portal for it. And, we know there's, certain programs that go into schools, which are brilliant. They'll sort of try and get golf in, but it's plastic golf clubs, plastic balls. It's difficult to kind of, do real golf in a school. So we kind of sort of had that thought. And then when we sort of ended up meeting the foundation and, hearing that Justin and Kate had exactly the same thoughts, which is, how do we take real golf into schools? And obviously in the US, Justin's a part of the LAGC, so the TGL team. They have their own Dryvebox, Dryvebox being a partner of TGL as well. So outside the stadium, they've got a couple of boxes. And, Justin had sort of seen, Dryvebox and said, well, actually, something like that would be amazing. We could kind of do schools. So we were introduced to Kate and Justin Rose Foundation. We went and met Kate and some of the other trustees. It was last summer.
The Buckinghamshire with the Rose Ladies Series open.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, we met them there.
Yeah, and kind of, clicked and, kind of sort of talked through what we were doing. Kate talked through what, they were trying to achieve. And, we had that sort of real commonality. And I think what's really exciting, having just sort of launched that is, there's a real sort of feeling that it isn't just a case of, going into schools, doing a one-off and kind of, allow, getting kids to kind of hit balls. You haven't hit balls before and you then sort of leave and you kind of clap yourselves on the back. But what have you really done? You've not changed anything. So I think, we've all got this view of, how do we get an actual pathway into golf? So, the sort of the scheme and the sort of initiative we're doing, involves multiple school visits. Our dream that we all have is then around, can we do sort of competitions within Dryveboxes amongst the schools? Culminate,
cool.
Really cool,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then culminating in an actual golf day on a course, hopefully we get Justin in there in attendance as well. And again, there's money to sort of help pay for, membership fees if kids don't have that, etc. So yeah, something we're just getting started, but really excited about.
But just there, you've said you flipped from going in the cities and then being at the Buckinghamshire. So it just shows you can be at both. You can be at very traditional golf venues and you can be here at Canary Wharf, which is really cool.
Certainly golf for everyone everywhere.
Yeah.
Which is the unique part of it being mobile. One of the first Kate and Justin Rose events we did a couple of months ago, not far from here actually, in Greenwich, an inner city school. And we rocked up outside the sort of headmaster's office, put the Dryvebox there. And there were some students coming past who were, after hours, they were doing extra revision for GCSEs. And they sort of saw this big lump of metal outside with some Kate and Justin Rose branding on the outside and poking their head through and sort of saying, wow, this is really cool. This is really cool. And just seeing that in their faces, but also then one of them, which stands out to us, one of them said to us, what grades do I need to work in a business like this? And for us that might not sound like anything, but to get kids thinking.
That's a passion, isn't it?
To have
what
a passion.
do I have to get to achieve what I want to do?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I thought the question was mature for a 15, 16-year-old. And it's just, if we can change lives through playing golf and exposing to golf, but actually having had business careers ourselves, if we can create pathways in due course, because we're going to need to recruit, and maybe some of those employees will come from the schools we work with, which would be great.
Brilliant, wouldn't it? I think
Absolutely.
That would be a great recycling process.
Really cool.
Absolutely.
Like 360, which would be great.
Yeah.
The other thing that we've talked about, Stephen, kind of when we got on the phone first time, I worked for Tottenham Hotspur, and I said this would be great for Premiership football clubs. And actually, you've worked with the Premier League, haven't you?
We have, yes.
Yeah.
We've done an event for the Premier League, which was something they had for some of their clients at Soho Farmhouse that we kind of took the box to, and really well received. And
Back there this year as well.
We are.
Which would be great.
And I'm thinking that Premier League clubs, obviously in the city, most of them, football is massive, golf is getting there. A lot of footballers play golf, and a lot of football clubs have foundations. So surely this must be a great partnership, a great way of getting kids to be able to have a go and pick up the club for the first time with their idols next to them almost. And whether that's doing that at the training ground, or if that's like from a Tottenham perspective, that could be great within the stadium. Whether you could do that physically for a game day, but certainly from a school's perspective or from a youngster's perspective, is getting people to come to the stadium in the school holidays and that type of thing. I think that would be really cool.
Absolutely, yeah. I think we're really excited about the sort of potential around Premier League clubs, and we've talked about the Kate and Justin Rose initiative, and we think a way of sort of taking that really nationwide would actually be in conjunction with Premier League football clubs. We have perhaps a sort of Manchester City branded box, in conjunction with the Kate and Justin Rose Foundation, and we use their relationships within their communities to effectively have those local hubs. Coming under a sort of umbrella and a sort of national competition, which obviously works really well from the community side. And then, as you said, just around the other aspects, which is, for the players, I think players are spending more and more time at the training grounds, needing things to do, and actually having a Dryvebox and being able to sort of hit balls for the players, for the staff. It's a nice way of, filling the sort of like the downtime, a good way of team bonding, fun. And I think probably the angle we hadn't quite seen, I think when we originally came into this, but is around that sort of content creation as well. I mean, we're seeing more and more athletes realizing the benefit of, having that direct relationship with their fans. And, for them, that's, social media, and it's how do they create that compelling, that sort of content that, showcases their kind of sort of their self.
Harry Kane with a ref flow, with a whole bunch of, either Bayern Munich or Tottenham kids or England kids, basically, in the summer. Could be amazing, couldn't it?
Absolutely.
That ticks all the boxes, really.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's where I think golf is starting to be cool, because if you get the kids involved and you get social media, then the imagination runs right, doesn't it, really? And that's where I think sitting at a festival, a golf festival, I was literally wondering what a golf festival was coming today. Someone who's 60 driving along, like, saying to us, like, I don't know what it's going to be like. Yeah. If the sun would come out, this would be really cool. I mean, we've got the retro clothing, we've got Jimmy Bullard coming down, we've got so many different things happening. I think it's really clever. And I think from a corporate perspective, people will get behind it as well. So obviously corporations will be a big part of that, either going into their offices, certainly if they've got big offices, or greenfield sites if they're having their summer parties. One of the things that we talked about, I think it's a great opportunity, is events. So big golf events like maybe the BMW Championship, Wentworth, all been there, love it. Side of 14, they've now made that into a really big kind of festival scene, haven't they? Really?
Yeah.
What about putting a Dryvebox there and getting to play the 14th? That would be great, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. We've talked about this, and as a way into tour events, because I've been going to the Open for 20, 25 years, and we tour events, and actually the fan zones, I don't believe have changed too much, especially with the technology that's come on board. Technology is getting into fan zones, but I think there's a way to go still. And you walk around a golf event like the Open, and mainly you're seeing kids and adults swinging umbrellas. They just want to hit some golf balls, and there aren't enough facilities for them to do that. So one of the thoughts we've had is, you take the BMW PGA, for example, and I grew up quite close to there, and have been a number of times. But if you want to hit a golf ball there, you're going to struggle, and it's going to be in the main sort of fan corporate zone. What about taking Dryvebox out onto the course on each of the par threes? Take the 14th, and they are building food and beverage there, and entertainment. And the nice thing with somewhere like Wentworth, which TrackMan have tracked, so you can play the West course on TrackMan. Let's bring the 14th up. Yeah. Let's have the exact yardage of the hole on the day, and let's have a leaderboard against the pros. Yeah. So you have public versus the pros.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's immersive. That's inclusive. The fans are going to feel like they're part of the day. The tour is going to get some great footage to share of Joe Public going up against Rory and their and hopefully beating them.
Yeah.
And putting it, knocking it closer.
Absolutely, and I think that's another real trend. It's that sort of like sport, and it's kind of trying to sort of blur the line between those participating and those watching. And I think absolutely doing something like that and just really kind of gets people involved. And I think one of our other dreams that'd be super cool is a Ryder Cup. We have some sort of US branded drive boxes, some Europe branded drive boxes, and a fan Ryder Cup competition. Yeah, it'd be amazing.
Yeah. And that's golf has moved so far, and just thinking about that 4 years ago would have been like, you are off your rocker.
Yeah.
There's no way we do it. Now you go, well, why not? There is no boundaries. It just keeps pushing, and I think that's also, learning from the RNA last week, they, from the governing body, they're looking at everything as well. I'm sure DP World Tour, what they've done from a social media perspective is really cool, and getting youngsters in. But you're right. I think I look at my sons. One's 34, one's 30. The 34-year-old is a really keen golfer, but never really used to watch golf. Always wanted to play it. Now he likes to watch it, and if he could play it whilst at a tournament, now he's in heaven. He's definitely going to go to a tournament. I'm definitely going to buy a ticket because, as you said, it's not just about watching; it's actually competing against your idols as well.
Yeah.
On the same hole, on the same day, at the same course.
Absolutely, and this is it. I think best one in the world. Even people who are avid golfers and love watching it. Going to a tournament, there's a lot of golf to watch, and you kind of do want to have something else. And I think the story of people swinging an umbrella is very true. And again, if you're going to if you're golf as an industry, you need to want to get more people to come to your sort of tournaments. Well, you need to offer things for kids to do. You need to offer things for non-golfers to do. And I think if you can do something that's kind of golf related and could help get people into golf, but we put up a bowling game, so actually kids don't really feel like they're golfing. They're playing a nice gamification game of bowling.
I think that's the beauty of the technology now. It's so good that some of those almost video games are so immersive for the kids. And actually, you don't need to. You can go to the range and you might top it 5 yards. You don't really get much feedback as a child. Or even as a beginner. Actually, you can top it 5 yards in a Dryvebox and it starts a chain reaction like Candy Crush, and you might score more than the person next to you. And that makes you come back to want to do more.
On a previous podcast, we had Stephen Carmichael, who heads up Range for Trip. A great guy. And Matt Hodges, who's general manager of Pitts Canary Wharf. And Matt was saying that we have quite a few people who are serious golfers, and they take the way over and they compete on the golf course. They play serious golf, and then they have a couple of beers, and then it's just a game, and they love it. And again, it's just playing to people's emotions, what they want, and being as flexible as possible.
And I think it's also it's quite addictive, the sim golf, and I think certainly if you haven't played it before, and I think you get still a lot of players that play golf and almost look down a little bit of sim golf. Well, it's real. And we had Laurie Cantor, who is one of our investors, and we've just moved into new HQ in Esher. He came along and he actually hadn't seen a Dryvebox before. So he sort of came in, sort of thinking he might hit a couple of balls. And then, by the end, it was just, just a few more. You could see he was just like amazed at just how much the simulating.
How real it is for him.
How real.
About like spin rates and all sorts.
Absolutely. I mean, it was amazing. He was just kind of there looking at it. He was like, that bit of deck, that's really cool, and you can see that. And
I think we had a 100-yard par 3 up, and we're trying to hit the green, and Laurie's trying to hole it, but he's trying to hole it through how far do I want to hit it, and what spin do I want on that ball to enable me to do it. So I want to hit it 103 and screw it back into the cup, and he almost managed it. I mean, it's brilliant to watch. But I think some of the things he said were, this is really addictive,
and that's from
someone who hits
one
golf
of the
balls.
best golfers in the world. To a kid who's just starting.
And someone who hits golf balls for a living every day, so they probably don't want to do it all the time.
And he knows how good it is.
And how real the data is, and how immediate the data is,
and how much they rely on it. As well, which is really interesting.
Absolutely.
One of the things we also talked about was winter seems to be getting wetter. Summer's hopefully sunnier and drier, which would be great. Obviously, you're going to have a number of vehicles. There's something that we could do to help those clubs out, or you're looking at doing, whereby not every club can afford to have a building with a sim in it. Are you looking at helping those guys out where you could actually say, look, we could provide you with a Dryvebox for the winter, certainly from the professional side, to give lessons, or to have people being able just, on a Saturday morning when they've all turned up looking for their golf, and once again the course is closed because of rain.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, we're all golfers, and we're probably all members of clubs, and certainly the winters we've had over the last 2 or 3 years, even going to the range, you think twice and you divert off and have your bacon roll and your coffee instead and
it's a common theme here with the bacon rolls, isn't it?
It's a golf podcast. Bacon rolls have to come into it. Do you want to go to the range, or do you want to do something that's actually in a nicer, warmer environment where you can actually swing freely? Because you go to the range in the winter, it's pretty hard to swing freely. It takes quite a lot of time to warm up and get moving. And how long do you want to be there? So I think one of the things that Steve and I have learned over the last sort of 18 months, researching this business, talking to people, is just the varied use cases for Dryvebox and for simulated golf. One is definitely sort of plonking them over the winter, fixed lease at a golf club. As you say, it's sort of, golf clubs are looking at it. It's a big capital outlay if they want to build one themselves. Do they have the space? Can they get the planning? So Dryvebox gets around the planning issues, and we've had those conversations with clubs quite a bit. And it just, put our financial hats on, it turns a sort of, a lump of capital into a variable cost that they can turn on and off if they choose to.
Absolutely. And I think even, beyond that, rather than seeing it as a variable cost, actually, I think there's probably a lot of ways where it becomes a revenue generating asset for the golf club. Again, you go back, not being able to get onto the golf course, or I'm a member at, the driving range is also shut a lot during the winter because obviously the balls just sink and can't be collected. And so in terms of the golf shops and the golf professionals, they're missing out on all the lessons they can be doing. Again, having a sim that can be sort of done in self-booking because, we have a door KIN-pad entry, so it can all be sort of, done on a staffless basis. So yes, the short answer is we very much see a way where this can be used as, by a golf club to generate revenue as opposed to costing them money.
Fantastic.
And the other nice thing is, we've probably all played a number of golf courses, but not realised there are simulator rooms there. It's like the old snooker room at a golf club. Yeah, it's tucked away and it's the preserve of the people who know. Whereas, Dryvebox can be put anywhere.
First thing we saw when we drive in this morning at golf clubber, and we know where we're going.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can do the branding. We can do the wraps, or we can do simple sort of poster style branding as well. And it can be moved around. So if they've got events at golf clubs as well, weddings or parties or what have you, they can move it into the right location.
Yeah, and I think the events thing is really important as well. So obviously we come from a corporate background. Played a bit of golf. Used to love doing golf days in the sense that you got to spend 6-7 hours with clients, brilliant for building client relationships. But 80-85% of the office don't play golf, or certainly don't feel they can go and play on a golf course. So if you say you're doing a golf day, then a lot of the office are rolling their eyes because it's they're kind of shut out, they're not included, and that's becoming more and more important. I think corporates are more and more aware of that. So again, what I'm saying to golf courses is, well, if you want to sort of offer something that actually is inclusive, have a Dryvebox. So, a corporate can do their golf day. If people don't want to go out on the course or, have never played before, well, they can play in the Dryvebox, they can have a lesson, they can network, they can socialise and be a part of the day. And I think that's really important as well.
I think that's a great point. Yeah, no, really good. And there's a lot of GMs and club managers listening to our podcast now. And they usually drive to work or drive home from work. So I'm thinking that come the winter, I must sort of get that into the plan. I think that's a good idea.
Absolutely. Well, if any listening, then do drop us a line, visit our website, and we'd love to chat.
Yeah, very cool. Finally, we always ask 2 questions. Now, you boys have worked with a lot of money, obviously, over your time. So you've had a thought process of how you would spend money if you won the golf lottery and you could only spend it on golf. What would you spend it on?
Well, we had a chat about this one, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
And we thought we'd come up with a couple, one sort of, the idealistic and one a bit more material. So maybe you start with the the softer one, Steve, that we should do?
The idealistic one. Yeah, I mean, look, from an idealistic viewpoint, winning the golf lottery, I think if we could have a Dryvebox, you know, I mean, I think every school is probably a bit too ambitious, but yeah, I mean, look, if we had a Dryvebox in every school and we really did open up the game of golf so that kids could play, could have that access, you know, that would be amazing.
And the one that probably makes a bit more business sense is, you know, could we set up the first urban golf course in London? So let's lease a piece of land. Let's get 18 drive boxes. There's a hole each. We'll have a couple of drive boxes to warm up, and you can basically play London golf, or you know, create a course, virtual London course, which would be pretty cool. And then obviously we'd have at least one box for the 19th as well afterwards. But you know, 21 drive boxes
will definitely be served.
Yeah, 21 drive boxes is quite an investment. We might be there in 2-3 years' time.
Yeah, that's true. It'd be 22 though, one for bacon rolls as well.
Fine there.
Yeah.
No, that's good. No, I like those ideas. That's good. I mean, it is funny. I just thought everybody would just say, "Oh, playing with Augusta," but we've had so many different answers for that. It's great. And actually, quite a few of them is like, "I want my own course." Well, you've kind of already got your own course and you've got your own clubhouse. It's just moving it around, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. That's true.
And then finally, if you had one round of golf left to play, who would you play it with, and where would you play it with, and why?
See, I'm now having to desperately rethink because, you know, after your last comment about Augusta, it was, I mean, look, it's Masters week, isn't it? You know, I think it is difficult to look past Augusta. And in terms of playing with, I go back to my sort of first, you know, watching golf on TV experience, and that was Tiger Woods winning his first Masters. So yeah, playing kind of peak Tiger Woods at Augusta would be pretty difficult to beat, I think.
And who would you play with?
Well, I mean, I feel Rob might get an invite along
That's
there as well.
Yeah. You want someone you can beat.
Yeah, Tiger. We've got Alex O'Brien, our head of operations over there, just gesticulating wildly that I think he would get it on. So maybe he can take the final slot.
Pretty good. Yeah, not bad. Well, along with Tiger.
Along with Tiger, absolutely. Yeah.
That makes sense. Rob, yeah.
I'll go for the sentimental one. So my first Open with my son was Carnoustie 2018.
Okay.
I went with my brother and my nephew, who's a couple of years younger than my son. And it was just a brilliant event.
Good weather.
Yeah.
Tiger was up there.
Francisco Molinari won it, but
yeah.
you know, that back nine and the roars, and we actually camped. It was the first time they put up the camping at the local school. So we drove up there and stayed for 2 or 3 nights. It was just, we had the weather and everything, it was perfect. So I'd probably play with those 3 guys. I have to invite my dad along as well. He'd probably drive the buggy or something like that. So it's a 5-ball, and I love links golf, so I probably couldn't choose a course. But we live in Surrey, so probably closest that we play regularly is Hayling Island.
Okay.
And a nice day there where you've got great views. You want a little bit of wind, but not as much wind as the Pro Shop want. I remember playing there once, and we were on the range and sort of, you know, hitting drivers about 110 yards into the wind, which runs alongside the first hole there, and went in the Pro Shop, and it said it was windy today, and I think the head pro said that's not wind. You can come back and we'll show you wind. But yeah, it's something like that.
Fantastic. Guys, it's been a pleasure to have you today. I think what you're doing is great. I mean, just some of the ideas that come out from the conversations we've had just shows you what and how golf can expand. It doesn't have to be just the stereotype of the 1970s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, that literally you can take it anywhere, and you're taking golf everywhere. So congratulations and
Thank you.
cheers.
Amazing. Thank you for having us.
Pleasure.
Cheers.
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 Cheers, guys.
Cheers.